Hello Internet, my name is Eder, and welcome to another episode of Film Edertorials. The topic of today's video is the somewhat controversial Suicide Squad. I say it's controversial because some people really hated it, and other people are wrong. I'm just gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. Suicide Squad is terrible. There are a couple of things in it that you can enjoy, but not enough to save it by any means necessary. To start literally from the beginning, the pacing is terrible. The movie opens with a couple shots introducing the fact that a lot of the villains you're going to be following around are in prison, and so, okay, I guess we can start there. It seems like good enough place as any to start. But then it cuts to Viola Davis's character, who is, again, introducing the characters who are already in prison. And then within those introductions, which do include on-screen text, by the way, there are flashbacks which show how these villains ended up in prison to begin with, specifically for Will Smith's Deadshot and Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. These really formal, stiff, stilted introductions continue for, I wasn't exactly keeping count, but probably 15 to 25 minutes. The first 25 minutes of this movie are introductions. Now I guess this kind of thing has been done in other movies. I'm thinking specifically of something like Ocean's 11, where George Clooney is telling people about the other people he wants for his team and what their specialties are, and it shows them doing their job while they're being recruited. The difference here being that while in Ocean's 11 he's doing this, it also progresses the story forward and it shows how they are recruited. In Suicide Squad, they're already all in prison, so the recruiting process has already been done. And now we're learning about it retroactively. Making matters worse is that a lot of the motivations and the characterizations are delivered with like a single line of dialogue or maybe 2 lines of dialogue. And it's in a very direct way and there's no development of these ideas. It's just, oh yeah, these two are in love and those two are in love and that's his weakness and blah 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 blah. And once these formal introductions are taken care of, then all the characters are introduced to each other. So, more introductions. And it's during this later scene, like a third of the way through the movie, that we're introduced to more characters who we have not previously seen or heard of or know anything about. And one of the characters that is being introduced at this stage in the film, who we've not seen before, is introduced with about 4 lines of dialogue, one of whom is, oh yeah, the sword she uses, it can possess people's souls when she kills them with that sword. Because that's a thing that happens. And then something bad happens, and it turns out that several days later is when they actually assemble the team to go fight this bad thing that has happened. And you don't know it's been a couple of days because of the way the editing is done. So like you're over here in Central City, and then you're over here in Gotham, and then you're over here in Louisiana. It just keeps cutting back and forth between the 3 places, and you have no idea what's going on. And while you're watching the movie, it doesn't make you angry, just because you don't know what's going on, but then trying to piece it all together after the fact and tell somebody about it is really infuriating because it doesn't make any sense. There are plenty of scenes that interrupt other scenes, usually in the form of flashbacks, but also just things that don't make any sense, like everyone has gone into this room, but then people decide to hang out outside and have a conversation and then go into that room. It feels like it was added later, either for a joke or to try and explain these characters' backstory, and it's just a confusing mess. Like, why is this going on? There are a couple of flashback scenes that discuss Harley Quinn and Joker's relationship, and honestly, I don't know why Joker's in this movie. He adds literally nothing. Oh, the Joker's in this movie, and he's played by Jared Leto, and blah 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 blah. Doesn't matter. If you cut the Joker from this movie, nothing would change. Ben Affleck's Batman is also in this film, and he doesn't really add anything either. If you cut it out, the movie wouldn't be substantially different. His scenes are less frustrating because he's also playing opposite Will Smith, and so there's actually like some character development there, because I guess Will Smith is a big enough name to demand some character development, whereas Margot Robbie is just kind of there to look nice. Like, I don't like saying that, but that's what they do with her character. Like, she doesn't have an arc, she doesn't change at all, she doesn't do anything except beat people with a baseball bat and make comments about how she's insane. While we're on the subject of performances, I guess Will Smith does the best job with what he's given. I have friends who are comic book purists who really don't like his characterization of Deadshot. I have no experience with the character, so I don't have terribly strong opinions about like how he compares to the comic book, so that doesn't matter to me. It might have been interesting if they had like actually decided to explore his character. They just kind of reference it here and there, and it's supposed to be his motivating factor, and Will Smith does the best he can with the very little he's given, so I guess that was okay. But he's the only character really with an interesting arc, and that leads to another problem. The characters themselves have kind of interesting things going on with them, and there are interesting things they could explore in this kind of movie setting, but they don't execute on these ideas at all. It's not even that they're executed poorly, it's just they're not executed. The problematic relationship between Joker and Harley Quinn is really interesting and has been explored ad nauseum in the comics. It's not really explored here. It's like, oh yeah, they love each other because they're both crazy, woo! And that's really problematic in and of itself, let alone the fact that their relationship is toxic to begin with. Then there's the Diablo character whose supernatural abilities are tied into how much power he has in the real world, and then he gives all that up after that power backfires. That's compelling to me, maybe because I'm a Star Wars fan. But again, that entire premise, his whole theme, and all the emotional things that he's going through are delivered through expositional dialogue. It's not a compelling way to do that. It's selling this character way short who would be way more interesting if this was done in a different way and in a different movie and at a different time. Killer Croc isn't interesting, Captain Boomerang isn't interesting, Viola Davis's character, whose name I don't remember and don't feel inclined to look up, is just a hard ass, so we have no reason to root for or against her. There's another character who gets killed off after about 2 lines of dialogue, so, you know, that's great, I guess. Clint Eastwood's son/doppelganger is in this film, and he doesn't even get introduced. The villain in this film is one part Bollywood dance routine and one part that thing in the Avengers that shoots the blue light into the sky. Basically, that's it! I don't know how else to describe the Enchantress and what she does when she's achieved her final form and does something to blow up stuff? I don't know. If I'm gonna look for positive things, the music is good. But it's good in that the songs are good. The way that it's used is really in your face. It's like, oh, you like this song? How about now? There's also a fight scene near the end of the film that's kind of enjoyable, though it is mostly in the dark and in the rain, so it kind of makes it difficult to tell what's going on exactly. Also, I think this movie is supposed to be funny. Like, there are times when I felt like they were setting up a joke, except I never really laughed. I let out a single chuckle once, and then I think I kind of smiled a couple other times, but I was never laughing. Okay, with all that in mind, I'm gonna have to give Suicide Squad 1 star out of 5. On the plus side, they chose a lot of songs, though they misused them. Some of the action is kind of cool, though you usually can't understand what's going on in it. And Will Smith's acting is the best of the bunch, though that's not saying a whole lot because everybody else is terrible. On the other hand, the pacing and the editing are at worst awful and at best frustrating. Any sort of overarching story is frustratingly non-existent. It's nowhere near as funny as it seems to think it wants to be, and a lot of characters and themes that would be interesting are ignored or misused or just thrown to the wayside. I feel like this movie wants to be Dirty Dozen and Guardians of the Galaxy, and it is neither one. It is like if those 2 movies met, canceled each other out, and Suicide Squad would be what was left behind. But let me know what you thought of the movie down below in the comments. This should be a very hearty debate. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, favorite, share, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And if you don't feel like wasting your time watching Suicide Squad, feel free to check out the Good News Review, tgnreview.com. My friends over there post really substantial, interesting, positive news stories about what's going on in the world, not just the scary, awful, stupid stuff you see on the 24-hour news cycle. Okay, I will see you guys next time. Bye!